It's just that hot stuff, baby, tonight. I have this thing where if I don't know the lyrics, I will make them up. Guys, I want to tell you, unfortunately, I have to go down to one YouTube video a week. I'm sad about that because I love posting on YouTube. I'm happy about the reason why I have to do this. It's because I'm launching my own glitter box. Every month you're going to be able to purchase my glitter box, and I'm hoping in the next 2 months to be able to turn it into a subscription for you so that you never have to worry about missing out on all of the amazing things that I'm going to be releasing. I wanted it to have like a cute little theme and for you to get a package and be like, oh my gosh, is this glitter or panes? Panaderia La Patty, and I hand drew all of these little panecitos myself on my iPad. This is gonna come with 4 gorgeous glitters that I custom mixed myself. Every single month, the box is gonna be different. It's gonna include different things. I will have boxes that will have more glitters than others. I'll have boxes that will have a silicone mat sometimes. So you never know what you're gonna get in my boxes, but I promise they will always be very creative. That is all. Until next time, besitos. Please keep in mind this is not a beginner video. I've already done some videos where I explain the basics about layers and how to start a project and all of that. I will link those at the end of this video. I also do more in-depth Procreate lives in my mentorship app. If you're interested, I will link that in the description. You are welcome to join us anytime you want. I did make a mistake and I sized this incorrectly, but it's fine. So just make sure that you measure your cup and do the exact measurements when you create your canvas. What I'm doing is I'm taking a part of a stamp that I got from Creative Fabrica. It is for how to like build your own little rainbow decal, but I'm only going to use 1 loop. And then I'm going to go to the cursor at the top, and at the bottom, I'm going to click distort. And that's going to allow me to pull this little loop in whatever direction I want to make the shape that I'm kind of going for. Now, I got this idea from a Starbucks tumbler that I saw when I was getting coffee. And I was like, this is such a pretty design. It's almost like mermaid-y, but it wasn't. So I was like, I can totally do this in an epoxy tumbler. So that's kind of where this little idea came from. Now, what I'm going to do once I have it perfect, I'm going to duplicate it, right? And that's going to automatically put it in a different layer. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to size it down to put it in the center, like to put it in the center of that little first loop I created. And I'm going to repeat that twice, right? And that's going to create this little situation I have here. Then to bring all of these together to become just one layer, I take my index finger and my thumb and I pinch them together, and that makes it just one single layer. Now I'm going to go to Canvas and I'm going to use Drawing Guide. The reason I'm going to do this is because that puts these lines on your template, and so that makes it for you to be able to make sure that you're getting everything straight and you're able to align everything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to size it to whatever size I want it to be. You can make them as big or as little, and then I'm going to bring it down to the bottom, and I am going to duplicate it and just repeat this process, right? I want to fill the bottom line with these little, I don't know, horseshoe rainbows, whatever you want to call them, right? So I am going to continue to duplicate this. I'm going to continue to repeat this process, and I'm going to continue to drag those over to the right. Okay, see how I continue to just duplicate them and drag them? And that's going to create my very first layer, the foundation for my template. Now, I am going to eventually merge these together so that they become one single layer, so that when I duplicate them, I'm duplicating 4 at the same time versus 1 at a time. And I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I'm going to duplicate an extra one and leave it by itself, right? Because once I merge that one layer together, when I duplicate it, it's going to duplicate the 4 linked together. But in case I make a mistake somewhere along the line, I want to leave a layer with just that one by itself so that I can duplicate it and fix any errors along the way. And I named it layer 1 just so that I can keep track of them. It's always easy to name your layers so that you can remember them. And think of these layers just like Cricut layers, okay? If you put one in front, If you put one at the very top, that's going to be in front and vice versa. I've explained this before in my old videos. I'll definitely link those for you. Here you just saw me messing around a little bit with the color. Ignore what I'm doing there. But as you can see, now that I've merged all of those four together, when I hit duplicate, now it's saving me a lot of work because I'm not having to duplicate one by one again. It duplicates all of them merged together, and then I am able to maneuver them and place them. And so now to fill that space on the left, all I have to do is duplicate the one that I left by itself, which is exactly why we left it by itself, and I can fill that space on the left. Here you see me renaming the layer just so that I can keep track of them. At some point, I lost track of the numbers and they got all mixed up, but definitely recommend for you to rename your layers. Now, I've explained to you how layers work before. So as you know, I moved that second layer behind the first layer. And so that allowed me to go in and delete where the lines were overlapping without disturbing the first layer. The first layer is intact because I am not clicked into it. Therefore, I can only edit the layer I'm clicked on, which is the second layer I did. And remember, I dragged it underneath the first layer, which means behind. That's why when I erase something from it, I'm only erasing what is on that layer, and it's not touching the layer in front. Man, I feel like Procreate is something hard to explain sometimes. I like teaching it live because I can slow down and I can answer questions and people can work along with me. But you know, this is YouTube, so I'm going to try to do my very best to just kind of make sure you guys are understanding what I'm doing. Like I mentioned before, I do in-depth lives, and so does my best friend Morgan. She helps out by doing Procreate lives as well sometimes. And it's just so much easier when you're working along with us and asking questions in real time. So if you're interested in something like that, on top of everything else the app has to offer, you're welcome to join us. I will link that in the description. It's a win-win because it's also a good way to support me as a creator, and you get to learn all of these extra amazing things that only help you level up as a creator. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to duplicate the layers, okay? And I'm going to continue to name them just so I can keep track of which one is which. And the reason this part is important, guys, is because whatever layer you continue to add, you always want to make sure you're moving it to the very back of all of them so that when you go in and erase these lines, you don't forget which layer you're on and start to accidentally delete off the wrong layer. Then you're stressed out because you don't know which one is which, especially because they're all the same color. That's why renaming each one is super helpful, because you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you know exactly what order they're in. And if you need to erase something on one of the layers, you just look for the number and you know exactly which one to click on. So as you can see, I basically just keep going, duplicating, and then moving it a little bit to the right so that I can create this pattern that I'm doing. And then remember when we left that one single one by itself, this is the reason we did that, so that we're able to duplicate it by itself and fill in gaps where we need to, etc. Now I am using the lines on my canvas as a guide to help me get this as straight as possible. It's definitely not perfect, but when you see the end result at the end of this video, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Baddies, I've been telling you this since January. January is the month that I decided to start offering Procreate in my mentorship group. And I've been telling the baddies like, hey guys, listen, let's level up. Teach yourself as much as you can. The more you know, the more power you give yourself as a creator. And now, fast forward to December, I can make my own templates in literally, this took me 15 minutes, whereas trying to create on template on Cricut is amazing and it does work, but it takes so long and it can be so stressful. This cuts your time in more than half and it's just super easy. Highly recommend learning Procreate, especially if you're a creator. So I just continued to repeat the same process, but I didn't want to make you tediously watch me. So I just finished up what I was doing. Okay, this is so satisfying. Like the time lapse, to be able to see it like that. Love. Okay, not me showing with my hands. Okay, so now that we're done, oops, I made a mistake. I accidentally merged the singular one that we left, but I guess it doesn't matter now because we're not gonna need it anymore. So once you're done, you can merge all of them together so that it becomes just one layer. You don't wanna merge until you know for sure that you are absolutely done. Okay, so I merged them all together. I removed the background so that it could have a transparent background and be a PNG. Removing the background and creating it a PNG file is what allows you to upload it into Cricut Design Space as a cut file. So I went ahead and just saved the name. And then once I got into Cricut Design Space, I sized it accordingly to be the same size that I needed for my tumbler. This is where I realized that I had miscalculated the size of my tumbler. I got the height correct, but unfortunately, the width of it, I did 6 inches and I should have done 10 inches. And this made it so that I had to stretch my PNG template out in width. And that kind of distorted, not distorted in a super bad way because it was still super, super cute, but it made the template a little bit wider than I wanted it to be. And so it didn't keep this exact shape. And that's okay because it still looked beautiful, but this is exactly why it's important, just to make sure that you are sizing correctly from the get-go. I chose a gorgeous vinyl from Yvette, my Star Creations. I will link her in the description. The best part about this vinyl is that I created it for her on my iPad. I made that for her. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. So I'm gonna use this vinyl to cut my pattern out and wait until you see it. You're gonna freak out. It's so freaking cute. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. So here we go. Let's cut our file. And you can use whatever settings you like. I use iron-on. It is just what works best for me with all vinyl. Well, of course, I use different settings for like holographic vinyl and all of that kind of stuff. But for this, I always use iron-on and it just works great for me. So here is me weeding it. How freaking cute does this template look on this like ombre, rainbow, pastel vinyl? Get out of town. Look at it. It's beautiful. And I'm using my little Jessica Flynn Sisters supply shop squeegee to make sure I get it on there nice and good. And I always like to lint roll my silicone mats just to make sure there's no loose glitter anywhere, because when you're dealing with like sticky transfer paper, everything sticks to it and I just don't want to deal with that. So look at how beautiful it is. Get out of town. You can do a glitter tumbler, right? You can do a glitter tumbler and then you can apply this over your glitter base, right? Get a couple of coats of epoxy on it, or you could do, the possibilities are absolutely freaking endless. You could do a glitter rainbow underneath and then you could do this pattern on top in whatever color you want. Guys, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And the best part is you can make this yourself. You don't have to go look on Etsy. You don't have to, constantly be buying files, especially if it's not in your budget. You can make your own stuff. Get out of town. That is the most powerful thing you could do for yourself, is knowledge. So I hope this video has helped you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more Procreate stuff and you would like to follow along and ask questions as we work, please feel free to join Batty University because I teach live in there. And I decided that I was going to do a tack-it over the vinyl just because I thought it was going to look amazing. I didn't show how I do the tack-it because this tutorial is really for the template, but I do have lots of tutorials doing the tack-it method if you guys want to browse through my videos. I am using this gorgeous glitter by My Star Creations. It's one of my favorite opals, and I just thought it was going to look perfect over this. I thought it was going to give it that extra pizzazz because I didn't start off with a glitter tumbler. So I thought we still need to add a little bit of sparkle to it. And that's about it, guys. This is how my tumbler ended up looking. I can't wait to get it under epoxy. I can't wait to I don't even want to put a decal on this. This is so pretty just the way it is. But yeah, this is how you make your own template. And I hope that I gave you guys some ideas or inspired you a little bit. That's always the goal. I am absolutely enamored with how this turned out. I still can't believe I made it. I'm a little sad that I had to stretch out the pattern, but now you guys know how to avoid that. And yeah, here's the final product. Leave me a comment and let me know what you thought. And until next Saturday, besitos. Have an amazing weekend. I'll miss you. Don't ever forget me.